Okay. So I think we're live. Let's make sure that the LinkedIn refreshing time shows this event is live for everyone. How was your jogging?
Hi, Giorgio. See, yeah, it was amazing. I was just a little bit longer on the run, but I am here. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Hi guys. I'm gonna just show a little behind the scenes. I was growing a little concerned because I was like, "Oh, where is Sharka?" And then she just joined precisely in time, um, coming from a jogging, which I totally agree. I mean, I'm a big fan, so guys, it's amazing to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Giorgio, also for your invite, and I'm so grateful to do it together with you. So let's
Same.
jump in.
Yes. In the meantime, for everyone who's already live, let us know in the comments where are you participating from. I'm participating from Indonesia. How about you, Sharka?
Yes, I am from the center of Switzerland, so just yeah, directly in the center of Switzerland. And yeah, let us know where are you now?
Basically from Indian Ocean to the Alps. We're covering
Yeah,
everything. I'm
yes,
looking
yes,
forward to see where others are also joining from. Let's see
yes.
if they tell us in the comments. In the meantime, today we have a big topic, content, and how to write content that drives leads to your business without sounding salesy. And it's a big one. And I think you, Sharka, told me that writing content on LinkedIn changed your life. And I wanted to just have a quick intro on to hear basically how that went. In the meantime, Irene let us know that she's joining from Douala in Cameroon. Happy to see
Hello,
you. Welcome.
hello, Irene. Ah, Irene Bornier. Hello, nice to meet you. Yeah, so thank you very much for asking. And yeah, actually, I signed in 2012 on LinkedIn, and I was a lurker. So almost 10 years, actually 9 years. And yeah, I was afraid. I was afraid to put myself out. I didn't know what to do, how to connect with people. And I thought I don't have a story. So I was quiet. And actually, I wasn't also logging so much in LinkedIn. But I was very curious, so I always looked for where people are working, and I was really enthusiastic about that. And then it was actually my intuition that told me just to learn a little bit more about LinkedIn, and I started with my first course in 2020. And I continued actually when I actually became entrepreneur in 2021, and I started working directly with my mentors and coaches. And since then, actually, I'm working on my LinkedIn skills and also on sales, copywriting, speaking, and I actually from the beginning I had my first client who I was working with, and then when I left the corporate world in 2022, actually I could really focus my energy, my time, and it was really the time when I went all in, and the entrepreneurial journey really started to going up. Yeah, and since then I help more than 300 leaders to find their voice on LinkedIn, to build a strong community, to reach their goals, and actually from more than 30 different industries. So I'm not so niche. And what about you?
Yeah.
How did you start?
I mean, I started also like, I think maybe you had like a period of maybe 1 or 2 years in which you were doing both LinkedIn and your corporate at the same time. Am I right with 2021, 2022? Right?
Yeah, almost a year. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me instead, I started on LinkedIn after I left my previous corporate job, that was basically December 2023. I sort of got laid off at the same time as I wanted to leave. So there was a very sweet spot to be in, to find myself in. And then I knew that I wanted to bring an impact to the world. I wanted to help out. I had found my purpose of helping millions of individuals, achieve fulfillment and freedom in life by going after their goals, achieving them, and finding that joy in life. At the beginning, I thought I would become like a mindset coach, because like mindset is something that I'm really passionate about.
Me too.
Yeah, I know. And then, to be honest, like I kept, learning. I got help. Like, I had a coach, and then I was writing and studying so much about like copywriting and all that stuff. I was really diving into it full time because I had no corporate, job or any time to spend there. So I was really like full into my entrepreneurial life. Back then it was more like figuring it out. And yeah, like people started reaching out. How do you do this? I was already getting like hundreds of engagements on my posts when I was like at 1,500 followers. So people were like, how are you doing it? Like, what do you know that we don't know? And I was like, well, how can I bring in my passion for mindset, helping people, and to like helping people with LinkedIn? And that's when I became LinkedIn coach last year. And I started around like June, July, offering this service. So I mainly work with like consultants and coaches, like purpose-led, because I do love that idea of, helping more people and creating this rippling effect of change. But yeah, that's how I specialized. And I mean, I get to do it now from Indonesia, which for me is crazy. Like I live in Bali, and I think when it comes to like how my life changed, like that's the most beautiful bit. It's like when you go full into your dreams, and that's also something that I want to show my community, even with my content. And we're gonna talk about how this content, sits in my strategy or in other people's strategy. It's really about like showing the possibility, showing that you can actually achieve your dreams, and there's freedom on the other side. So
that's actually also my life, living my dreams and my dream life, and traveling and working and helping people, making impact. Yeah, that's so rewarding, and inspiring.
Yeah, it's really like the where you find fulfillment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And now to jump into the topic, because I know that our audience really wants to hear about content. And so I give you the hot potato of starting with like deciding where we start today. We're talking about content that drives leads. Sharka, where do you want to start?
Yeah, we can start how actually to start how to start actually write content, because I know many people are so afraid to putting themselves out, and some of my prospects are telling me like, I don't want to be in the middle of the attention. It's not about me and so on. So I think we could help them in that way. We could start with this topic. What do you think?
Absolutely. Mindset is a great way to start. Let's do it.
Yes. Yeah. So for everyone joining us, we haven't prepared. We just talking spontaneously. So that's us, and that's actually the best way. Yeah. So if I should start from scratch today. So what I would do first, I would really, of course, work on my mindset, and of course, I would really start believing in the potential of the platform, in the power of the platform, and really start believing in myself. But I know this is really easy to say, difficult to do. So how can you start believing in yourself? Actually, it starts with being grateful, with celebrating all your wins. Just write down some things that you are grateful for today, and really feel the gratitude, and think about what you have achieved, and yeah, that's actually how you start seeing also your strengths. And then think about your strategy, like it perhaps you don't know yet your strategy, but think about why you would like to be active here on LinkedIn. What's your goal? Who you would like to talk to, and what are actually the topics where you have your strengths and you would like to help others. So this is like the two important things, what I would say. Of course, consistency, but also I personally would really start building a strong audience, a strong community, because in my opinion, you can have the best post, but if you haven't built a small network from the beginning, it will be like small, but then it will be grow. Then yeah, the post will be go nowhere. And that's so why it's so important to start commenting on others people posts, just to share your opinion. And you don't have to start posting from the beginning. If you want, of course, you can, if you believe in yourself, but you can just start with commenting. That is so powerful, and it shows also your insights, your opinion, and your expertise. But the most important thing is it's not about you. It's about your target audience, bringing value to them, helping and inspiring them. What would you do, Giorgio?
I agree 100%. I think that starting with a serving mindset is where the game is at, basically. Like people on LinkedIn follow you and read your content because they find something in it for their own interests, right? For their own life. Of course, some are genuinely willing to support you, but let's say as a rule of thumb, I would say, like, when you show up on LinkedIn, the first thing to think about is, I'm putting out this piece of content or this comment to elevate a conversation, to bring value to someone. So starting with a foundation of clarity on who you want to talk to and which kind of transformation you want to help this target reader, target client achieve, that's something extremely important, because that's really what helps you defining the message and how you write this message, basically, for the reader, right? How you target it. So I would say starting with a foundation of clarity is really my core first pillar. Even like before I start with any client, I always say, let's start from clarity, brand clarity, basically, who you are, what you stand for, what you're after with your LinkedIn presence. And then I would say, when it comes to the mindset that you talked about of believing in yourself, right? And starting to write a post, I totally agree with you. It's all about looking back and writing down. So what are the achievements that you had at work, in your entrepreneurial life, whether you're already an entrepreneur, like starting to look at the proof that makes you credible on one side. And then on the other side, look at what makes you yourself, which sounds a bit generic. And now I want to get specific. And for example, like your passions, what drives you in the daily, what you love doing on a Thursday afternoon after work, like what is your go-to thing, right? Or what are some of the lessons that you learned in your life that you would love to share with your audience? And I'm sure that already, as I'm talking about these topics, there's so many ideas that pop up in your mind, and you're like, oh my God, yeah, I should talk about this. And that's exactly the point. Once you understand how to look at your past, you just need a piece of paper, a pen, and just start writing down. So like all of those ideas can become posts while you frame them correctly. What do you think, Sharka? Like,
Yeah,
do you also agree?
I totally agree. And yeah, it really, everything starts with clarity and then it goes down to the right positioning. And yeah, I mean, everyone or many people think like, yeah, I have nothing to post. I don't know what, I don't have a story. I was there too. I know how it is. But as you said, exactly as you said, when you start thinking, what you are doing every day, what you have achieved, where you did some mistakes, and what you learn from them. Because so many people can learn from you, from your unique insights, from your unique experiences, unique expertise. Nobody has this uniqueness. No AI has it. It's only you. And if you will open up to share it, you will be surprised how many people you can inspire and help. And that's all about it is.
Yeah, actually, you just mentioned something that I find extremely important when it comes to sharing content on LinkedIn, and it's about sharing, the struggles even that you go through, sharing something that you're working on. Like the building in public, what people call building in public, like the behind the scenes, because and I can assure you from my own experience, from experience of other clients that I've helped and many people that I've talked to, like we all think that we are alone in our struggles. And so we think that we are the only ones who struggle with something. But out there's a ton of other people, like thousands, hundreds of thousands, who are actually struggling with the same exact thing at this moment. And there is nothing better to bring everyone together than just opening up and be like, hey, look, I'm struggling with this. I'm not perfect. I'm just figuring it out. And you show the process, you show what you're doing, so that basically other people going through the same problem can click with your message and be like, hey, like I'm also going through this. They will resonate with your message incredibly. And then if you share the steps or like the tools that you're using to get through, that's when you become like an authority, or you become an expert, or you bring value to your audience. So it's always about like talking about something that you've done in your life, that you are going through, and then reframing it in a way that the reader can benefit from it.
I totally agree, especially as a Blake at the look behind the scenes, because, like for example, also on the company pages, of course, the personal profiles are crucial, but to be also professional, it's also important to have company pages. And I see it with clients I help. I work with executives and entrepreneurs, and yeah, they are like afraid to show their employees what they are doing, what they are achieving. And I mean, there are these all perfect websites, but people want to know how you live entrepreneurship or leadership, how you live your culture, your team, how you create team, how you live your experience. It's the shared or the lived experience is actually so important to share. Yeah, so, and not only on the LinkedIn company pages, of course, also on your personal profile. And yeah, so many people are still afraid of this, like to show themselves, to show that, I mean, we all are humans. And having success on LinkedIn is not only about understanding the platform. Yes, it's social media, but it works differently than other social media platforms. But it's also about having the right strategy, the right mindset, yes, but also about understanding the human psychology, because we all are humans and we connect with emotions. And that's why it's so important, as you said, to resonate, that people resonate with you, that they see themselves there, that they think, oh yeah, I have exactly this struggle, or I know this. I want to know more about it.
Yeah. And I think you make a good point. Like psychology, it's a clear tool that, like copywriters really use in order to make their message resonate. But I think even if we step a little bit back, when you say like some are afraid to show up. Honestly, like, again, here I share my experience. I come from a background that, I had basically never shared much on social media. My Instagram was just like pictures that I took, not of me. So
Me
basically
too.
just like other people, I like to do street photography. So I would just post some of those, maybe like 10 posts in a year or something like this, maybe less. And so I was completely starting from zero, posting on LinkedIn. And I can tell you, it's scary. It's not easy. But some people, like, the best bit about it is that usually the scary things are the one thing that basically teaches us the best lessons in life. And there's always growth. Whenever you're starting something, you need to accept it. Probably you're not gonna deliver your best quality ever to begin with, because nobody starts and it's already like a master of a new skill that they're learning, right? And that's totally fine. I think LinkedIn is also a place where people will support you, even though you're not writing the Divine Comedy to begin with, right? It's just like they will support you because you're making an effort. And I think that this is a very nice way to, like, a very genuine good thing to know, so that basically you are empowered to just say, hey, whatever, I'll just try, give it a shot, try my best, and then see what happens from there. Once you break this fear barrier, then you're on to something. And I think that that's when we can also start now talking about maybe the details of what makes a good post, right? Like a
Yes.
structure behind it.
Yes.
So do you want to dive deeper into that, Shaka?
Yes. Yeah, so totally agree. It's everything you said. Like this coming out from the comfort zone and changing the mindset that it's not about me, even though people would want to see my face because they connect, the majority are scrolling down. But if there is like a real picture, not AI created picture, they connect easily or quickly. So that's why actually the visuals are so important. Not only your pictures or pictures of you, also like the graphics and whatever is actually like a part of the post. And the most important things I think is actually are the hooks, so the headlines. So because when you see the post on LinkedIn, you see actually the first 3 lines that LinkedIn is showing, and then there is the visual, or you can only have also like text only post. This is also possible, but LinkedIn is still a platform where people want to read. And yeah, like for the human brain is actually good, especially when like 80% or more are checking LinkedIn on their mobile phones. That's why it's also important to have it in your mind and to start really with really captivating headlines, captivating hooks. Like you hook the people in, you catch their attention, and then you hold it, and then they click on see more, and then go to scan first usually, and then if it catch the whole attention, they read it all. And yeah, to the structure, yeah, it's for me it's really crucial, the part with captivating hooks. Like of course the hooks are about are telling me what I will read when I click on see more. So it's actually the summarizing of the post, but also making me curious, but also making me feel something. They are talking or speaking to me emotionally, or they are really letting me think like, oh, I experience the same. Let's read the rest. And then I find it also important like to mention that like you are the experts, that you are doing the thing, like for example, also how long you are doing it, or that you are having clients working with them. It doesn't have to be the same sentence, but it's called actually signposting, where you show something that you are the expert in it. It builds credibility as well. And then you are talking about some situation, some transformation, if you are talking about how you are working with your clients, or about something that people can learn from it, that it brings value to them, to your community, to your target audience. And then it's important also the specificity, that it's not so general as AI is writing the post, and that I see it's your experience. I can see you in the post. This is actually what I see with many prospects. It's like the personality is missing. And then ideally, it would be great to have like one actionable tip or something or advice that I can actually realize already after reading the post. And then at the end, actually, like something like a powerful statement that really, it's actually how I let people go. Because also it's like if I listen to a speech, for example, you often never forget how people let you go. So the end, it could be a summarizing, it could be something new, adding something new to the topic. And then the question at the end is actually question to ask for engagement, because many people are afraid to share their opinion. And that's actually where also the commenting, or why the commenting is so important, because you support others, you show your expertise when you do it strategically and in the right way, but also you ask others for their opinion. And the question shouldn't be like too complicated, because otherwise people are gone. They don't want to think too much, and also they don't read only one post. And then of course the visual as important part that is going with the post. There is a match that when you are talking about for example speaking engagement, and it's important that I can see you with some mic or in front of the audience, for example. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love it. I think we were talking about psychology before, and the fact that for good copywriting, talking about like using psychology is super important. And I think that when it comes to hooks, so like hook and rehook, the first 3 lines of a post, it really comes down to psychology, right? And something that I want to add or to specify that you already talked about, but I really think we need to make a point, is what makes a post human. So like, how can you build expertise in your post? So as you mentioned, there's a ton of AI posts out there right now. They're super generic. They probably all have like it's not X, it's Y, you're not this, you're not that, you're that. What these posts are missing, it's all your personal experience, like your experience as a writer of the post, as the author of the post. And something really simple that brings back this humanity is using I, as I have noticed, for example, this pattern happening on LinkedIn recently. Using that I at the beginning of a sentence or within the post multiple times shows the reader that you're actually the one having these ideas. You're the one creating authority, giving value to the audience. And that is huge, because at the end of the day, like, a post isn't just for visibility, right? If we just wanted visibility, we could reshare a funny meme of whatever and we would get millions of views. But what we want to do really with a post, especially as business owners, coaches, entrepreneurs who want to generate revenue and attract leads for our businesses, is to use the post to position ourselves, right? To create strategic visibility that positions ourselves as thought leaders, as authorities, and as experts in our field. And if we do miss that part of saying, I'm the one having this thought, I'm the one having this opinion, then you're not really creating a personal brand, your personal brand. You're just building more noise in a place, LinkedIn, where there's a lot of noise at the moment. And so you're gonna blend in with all the other AI content. Do you have you also noticed this pattern?
Yes, yes. I also found it important, like to also in the hook, like to talk about like use I and also you, because when you use you talk to a target audience. I found like it doesn't have to be every time. Sometimes it's like when you have like the two hooks, I would say, with a space in between, which is good for your brain, that the brain can absorb it. And so to be aware of about your mobile version, how it looks like on mobile. So I found like if you have like a lot of curiosity, if you build a lot of curiosity, you don't have to have necessarily every time I and you in the hook. But it helps you because it shows that it's your experience, and also it's important how you start, like the hook, that you are also talking in the post about it, because when you hook people in it and then you have something different you are talking about, so people are disappointed. So it's also important to have this alignment, this coherence, that you continue. Yes.
Yeah, I call that in my, like in the sections of a post that I find necessary, I call this part the revelation. You know, like when you tease interest in the first 3 lines, like for example, these are my best tools that I use like on LinkedIn to drive revenue for my business. Then you put the colon, like the 2 dots, the 2 vertical dots, and then people have to click on read more to read it, and that's when you deliver a revelation, right? Like you start talking about those tools that you mentioned. Instead, if you skip that part and you said, oh, these are my top 10 tools, and then you talk about something else, there's no revelation and it's only clickbait, which ultimately is gonna hurt your post, make the readers kind of angry, and hurt your reputation as a result. And because we have one reputation, I think that it's super important to understand, like, stay genuine, stay authentic, and stay like true to what you have claimed to deliver, right, to your audience. So I really love the fact that you made that point.
Thank you.
When we sorry, go ahead.
To our audience, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask us. Yeah.
In the meantime, we can say hi to Richard Moore, who says hi.
Hi, Richard. It's my coach. Hello.
Actually, we met in the Art of Sell, like in Richard's, Richard's community, like 11, 12 months ago, something like this. And then Zayed,
I'm also
Nick. Go for it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm also with the LinkedIn accelerator with Richard Moore. Yeah, and hello everyone also.
Amazing. So now continuing on the sections of a post, I think something that you mentioned, which is super important, and again, it ties back to positioning, is really about like that proof piece within the post. And now when it comes to that, I have a bit like the same opinion that you had about like they're using I or you in the hooks. And I think 100%, you don't need to use I every single hook or you in every single hook. I think having it within the post, 100%, like talking about your experience. Also, when it comes to the expertise, I think that that's something interchangeable with I, basically, in a way, because when you're writing, for example, personal stories, sometimes it's okay. I find like I would skip sometimes, for example, the proof bit. So I don't need to, if I'm talking about, for example, the fact that next month I'm traveling to Japan, I might drop in the fact that I'm able to do this because I actually coach clients on LinkedIn. I mean, it's my full-time job, so that's what's allowing me. But for example, if within that period that I spend in Japan, I want to talk about something cool that I really enjoy doing, and like just to engage with my audience and just to show them that I have a life outside of LinkedIn, that I'm a human, I'm doing something that is interesting and I really want to share it with them, it's also fine to not say, hey, I've coached a ton of people, I've made a ton of money. we don't always want that, but it's super important to keep a consistency, to signpost, as I said before, like your content, to bring expertise, to remind people why they're following you, or for new people that are entering your world, to basically show them that you're a credible source of value and insights when it comes to your niche specifically.
Yeah, and I also find that the personal stories are really important because they show our values, how we live our values, and so they connect also perhaps better with our audience. And that's why, it's important to write about them, to share them, because people buy from people who they like, know, and trust. And that's a really crucial point. And I found also if it's a personal story, you can put only few words or only one sentence, what are you doing? Or if you are talking about, for example, going on holidays, then you can share that recharging is important for your business, and then people already notice, okay, he or she has a business. So this again, these psychological things that you are mentioning in the post, because we all are humans and we connect with humans.
Yeah. Just before we go forward, I have a few ideas also on a couple of things when it comes to personal stories that I really want to deep dive into. Nick dropped a question. So let's imagine, very hypothetically, he specifies that we could feed AI all the possible lived experiences we've had to the present moment till the time we're born. Every single one. Do you think he would make better posts in that case? This is a long debate that we could have about this. Do you want to start, or should I answer it, Nick?
Can you read the question once more, please?
Yes. So let's imagine, very hypothetically, that we could feed AI all the possible lived experiences we had to the present moment till the time we're born. Every single one. Do you think it would make better posts in that case?
Okay. You can answer if you want.
Okay. Like the one thing I would say is LinkedIn is not about just writing content, right? We are creating content with the goal of connecting with humans. It's always humans on the other side, except, like the bots that are commenting with AI comments, and they're just summarizing. Okay, let's forget about those. They're kind of ruining the platform, and don't get me started, whatever. You're trying to connect with other humans on the platform. And I believe that bringing your uniqueness, your weird, awkward thought that goes through your brain at that specific, at 14:09 p.m. while you're writing a post, is something that makes you unique and makes you stand out. And I do believe that AI doesn't have the capability, and in a way, it makes people feel like they're interacting with a chatbot, no matter what. So bringing your personality is why we're building personal brands, why people buy from Sharka and not from me, or vice versa, basically. Like our personalities, our expertise, backgrounds, everything, and the way we express ourselves and we interact with our audience is the reason why we can be here as competitors and literally cooperate and collaborate to bring value without stealing clients from each other, right? that is the foundation of personal brand. If you automate that and you give away your personality, I think that's where the problems start coming.
Yeah, and I found you see with the time, you see that the posts are written by AI or mainly with the AI, that there's no personality, there's no the uniqueness, there are no the life experiences, so you can feel it as well as in the comments. And yeah, I totally agree. And of course you can use AI like to help you, but the idea should come from you. You should write it, and then you could use it perhaps to check the language and something like that. But I am not either. I'm not a fan of writing with AI because also you don't use your brain to think. And if you will write every day, you don't have, for example, you don't have to publish everything. Or if you will write like every day 3 to 5 comments already, you train your brain and you will read the posts quicker. And also you will be quicker with writing. And the more you write, the more better you become. And it's so important because it's all about communication. It doesn't matter if you are employee, if you are entrepreneur, it goes back to communication. And how you communicate, it's actually how people also react to you. And we attract what we radiate. And of course, there's non-verbal communication, so on, but people feel the energy in the post. And if there's no personality in the post, they can't feel it. And then this actually goes further, like how to make money with LinkedIn. Because when you are consistent with your content, means your posts, but also your comments, and also then, in my opinion, go to the DMs and connect with people even more and deeper, and go perhaps to exchange on calls, which for me it's the aim of DMs. Then you will build this strong network where people get inspired from you, and when they realize, okay, I need him or her to help me. And it doesn't matter that you shared already everything for free, but people want shortcuts and they want to see transformations. And if they understand already from your profile, but also then from your content, how you can help them and that you are the right person, that you will bring them from A to B, then reach out. And that's actually how sales also happen on LinkedIn.
Yes. And in a moment in time in which, like LinkedIn is becoming saturated with service providers who offer basically the same service, that specificity, that uniqueness is really where the magic is created. Like I had a live with Luke Redhead a couple of weeks ago, and he said a sentence, like personal branding is the reason why two business owners are creating content, but only one has a successful business, because maybe some are, writing content just for visibility, or AI content that maybe gets a ton of views, but it just doesn't connect ever to that extent for which people are willing to pay you, like 4 or 5 figures for your services. We're here to offer our time as coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs in exchange for money, right? Value for money. And you need to create that trust and that positioning within a post. And if you do not show the personality, I think you're skipping so much about your positioning and what makes you stand out naturally without basically even trying anything. You just need to be yourself. You're going to stand out naturally. And then you don't build that trust. So I think that's where the real difference of like staying human on LinkedIn really, really is key.
I love it because I also see many creators who are creating content. I have big accounts, big engagements, but they don't make any money on LinkedIn. And that's actually also like, what are they writing about? Do they connect? Are they talking about topics that are trendy? but that are not part of their personal brand. So are they actually connecting with the target audience and with the service that they provide, or are they just writing to get likes and to get comments? So that's actually two important parts. And also I love the idea, as you said, like we are competitors, but we are working together. And this is also like the mindset shift, because we actually are all humans. And I mean, there is ever enough prospects for everyone. And that's so important to collaborate, to work together, and to not see each other as competitors, because every person is different and unique. And that's about the energy, also about the mindset, and it's about the uniqueness. And that's also where many people are afraid perhaps to share also their expertise on LinkedIn because of the competitors. But if you believe in yourself, have the positioning, and you see your value, you will get clients. But it's all about also how you think and how you feel and how you talk.
Yeah, 100%. I think that before, like when we talk about the pieces that make a piece of content, great and actually valuable, so that they drive, like that piece of content will drive revenue and leads for your business, we need to talk about value. And really, like every piece of content, even when it's sort of like entertaining, it basically needs to bring value to the audience, right? And so whether it's a personal story, which I really think that it's a key part of any personal branding and any content strategy, you need to have at least once a week, in my opinion, a personal story showcasing what you're doing, who you are, what you stand for, your values, right? And then, like, even there, you can really bring like value and just saying, hey, like, this is who I am, this is why I'm out here. You're connecting with people. Once you make people empathize and resonate with your message, you're basically bringing value. But again, we're not doing it just for the sake of likes and engagement. We're doing it for the sake of creating this ecosystem in which we want to keep our audience, in which we want to build our audience, right? Like-minded people, an ecosystem of like-minded people. And so that's the reason why we don't just post like AI fluff or platitudes that will get a ton of engagement and maybe like 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers, but never revenue. I think here, me and Sharka are talking about, the tactics and the mindsets to turn your LinkedIn presence into revenue, right? So everything that we're talking about is only valuable for that aspect. Now,
and it's also that's also like about the quotes. Like many people are posting, for example, quotes. If it's your quote, if you experience that, then it's amazing. But if you take like quote from someone else and you post it because it gets lots of likes and comments, it's the question always is, does this build your personal brand? Is on the topic, so does it show your experiences, your uniqueness, and does it help your target audience? Because your target audience always ask, what's in it for me?
Yes, I love that. It's this question literally, and I think that it comes back to the start when we said that every piece of content needs to serve the audience, the reader that is reading it. I have this sentence like, what's in it for me? For every client, I say, write every single piece of content with the question in mind from the reader's perspective, what's in it for me?
And me too, I say the same.
that is so important to understand. Now, I think coming again to break down a great piece of content, I think I loved when you said before that you would like to end a piece of content with like a summary or a sort of like a sentence that sort of leaves the reader with something. And I do really think that we should spend 5 minutes on this, because like when we think about a piece of content, right, it can be rather short, and then probably repeating, having this sentence is sort of redundant. But once we start bringing, like a valuable piece of content with maybe a couple bullet points and like the how to do XYZ, then we want to sort of give the reader a sort of summary to not overwhelm them, because they might have read a ton of things and they might be wondering in their head like, oh yeah, this was very valuable. Like, but wait a second, what was I reading at point 1 or at point 2? Like, what is the key takeaway? And I think that that's when you distinguish yourself as an expert, is when you can literally send them off to the next post, or if they're logging off, with the thought in their mind, oh yeah, this is exactly what you had to learn from this piece of content. And that's what is gonna, like get into their brain and make their brain like, work and say, hey, this was actually very helpful. And that's probably what makes them hit the follow or stay a follower, basically, stay an engaged follower within your audience.
Yes, totally agree. Yeah.
And then once you add basically a PS, right, a question at the end right after, and it's related to the whole post, and like you have given them this sort of summary, then they are much more likely to engage with your piece of content. And this, of course, will help you like drive conversations. It will push your post a bit further. And in general, it's just going to help you create this connection between you and your readers, which ultimately, as we said, it's the ultimate goal where we're on LinkedIn writing content, human content, to create these relationships.
And you can also check, for example, in your analytics on LinkedIn, directly underneath the post, how many people saved, for example, your post. Because this is also important analytic that shows you that, okay, you are driving interest, you are bringing value, people save it to have it, to watch it, to read it once more. And that's also, like one indicator, for example, that you are bringing value.
Absolutely. I think saves are, the ultimate goal of a post, even though they're very, they're very complicated to understand. I think algorithm is another topic that we could touch on another time, but it would need at least 1 or 2 hours more. So we're not going to deal about it today, but saves are super important. The downside is that it's really difficult to understand exactly when people are going to save it. But you can track those analytics and then empirically say, hey, like this post performed really well. Like 12 people saved my post. Like, let's understand why. And then probably there is going to be a golden nugget of value, or like maybe mindset, something that really connected with your audience. And that's maybe something that you really want to dive deeper into to understand, and to maybe like double down on, to test again. And because at the end of the day, like, LinkedIn is a place that where you need to test, where you need to do some experiences and try to see what works in your niche, in your target group, and with your personality. So there's a lot of testing going on, and that's where analytics really help.
And I also find, totally agree. And I also find like sharing your expertise from different angles, from different perspectives is also important, because you are still talking about your topics, but where people actually will know you for. But then you are sharing like different perspectives, that it's not every time the same. And also for it helps you when you repurpose your best post, for example, that you don't have every time like to think of something new, or just think from the other perspectives that people can get from you.
Absolutely. I mean, I do repurpose also my best posts, because it's a very easy way to basically keep testing whether it was a lucky moment, or there's something in the psychology, in the copywriting of that post that actually worked. So that is something like a reason why I do it, for example. And then it's also for those days, because I promise you, both me and Sharka, even if we're LinkedIn coaches, we have those days in which you're like, oh my God, I do not want to write a piece of content today. I have no idea what I want to write about. Creativity at zero. And so it's a good way to still stay consistent in your LinkedIn activity while, like, just taking it easy on you and on your brain, and not, pushing pedal to the metal even when you have no fuel in the tank. So I think this is just a little nugget of how I use repurposed content, because honestly, it saved me more than a few times, and I'm sure that it's gonna help you as well. Now we have 4 minutes left, and I think we could go on and on forever, Sharka, but let's try to be respectful of the time of other people. And I'm looking here at the questions. There's one from Catherine. By the way, hi, Catherine. She was an ex-colleague of mine. So she says, hi, if content comes second to personality, do you think that certain personas will go in and out of fashion? So it's quite a complicated question, but Sharka, do you have an answer already? I see you smiling.
Yeah, because many people are creating like these personas, like this target audience, and it helps, of course, and this is the typical way how we do this in marketing, and how it also helps. But still, I find like it's important, but still it's so important to really get to know the real people who is your target audience, and really to every time to imagine only one person from your target audience that you are writing to a post, or that you are actually talking to. And this helps you also when you write a comment. But in comment, of course, you have the person where we are commenting on, but there is also important to comment to your community as well, or to the community in general. But so I found like personas help you to have the clarity, which is important, because you really have to know who exactly is your target audience, to be specific, to really know the pain points, to really know the struggles, the challenges, because to get sales through LinkedIn, you need I don't like the word need, but you have to have or you have to create this need that people actually have need to do something with you. But also there have to be the tension, like really the pain that they are feeling, that they know that they have to do something now, so they have to take action now. And that's actually when you create also this tension in your post, that this is the moment where they reach out to you. So that's why I found it really important. Like I always have the person from my target audience in front of me when I write a post. And then I ask myself, is this important that he or she knows? Or is it just for me because it's my ego and it's actually not important at all? Does this bring value to the other people? Does she or he has to know it? So these are actual questions that I'm asking myself when I'm writing posts.
Yeah.
What do you think, Giorgio?
I like that. I think in general, I'm maybe not a big fan of like creating personas that are like sort of crafted around what we think we should be looking like, because I think that's when we start impersonating someone that we are not. And I'm instead of a huge fan of like just behaving like ourselves. Like I want to be myself, right? I don't want to impersonate all the time someone that I'm not, because ultimately this is going to lead to misalignment with my business, with my life, and burnout potentially. So I do not like to build personas, but of course I want to blend in an understanding and that clarity that we talked about at the beginning of who we're talking to and why we're talking to them with my background, my experience, and my point of view, so that then I can plug them together and then have something that will always be like fresh and new, because I'm ever evolving, they're ever evolving. So like we always shape something new that I don't think will come out of fashion anytime soon. That's I think my complicated answer.
Totally agree.
And we have a question from Vivian. She says, like, she's struggling with, creating that uniqueness in a post, and she wants to connect with prospective clients in a post without sounding desperate or salesy. I have an immediate point that I want to make here is, if you don't want to sound desperate or salesy, just bring value, just serve people, think of what people need, and just try to offer them value, and just try to be there genuinely to serve them. And I know that this is a weird, difficult mindset to adopt whenever you're in need of money and you're in need of clients, but ultimately it's really gonna help you. And when you start creating content that just gives value no matter what and is there to serve, you can even create polls and be like, hey, what is something that you're struggling at the moment? What is something that is missing? Or when you do a research on your ICP and you understand what they struggle, then you can serve them without sounding salesy.
Yeah, that's a very important point, because when we are in the need, that's why I don't like the word need, actually. Human needs, of course, this is important, but when I say I need something, it's a scarcity mindset. And that's why it's so important to change it to the abundance mindset and to say, I want. This is already another power behind it. And that's really important. And many people, many prospects, also people who are posting on LinkedIn, I see it like they are there and, oh, I want clients and I want leads. And I mean, yes, of course, it's best B2B lead generation platform, of course. And the most of the decision makers and C-level executives and entrepreneurs are on the platform, of course. But you have to know how to do it, because the people are not primarily here on LinkedIn to buy something. They want to build networks, they want to get informed, inspired, entertained. And then if there is the trust that is being built and the relationship, they are open to buy. People don't want to be sold, they want to buy. And that's why the post where you are selling, doesn't work. Because people are just like, they have few minutes in the very stressed, busy day, and they want to a little bit relax and to get new ideas. And if there's another post like, oh, we have this amazing product, and or just comment prospect, and I will send you my offer, whatever, or the pitch in the message, it doesn't work anymore, because there is no trust that has been built. And you even know if the person has any problems, if the person is looking for a solution, if the person really needs your solution. So that's why it's so important first to be human, to show your uniqueness, and to share the value, what Giorgio was talking about. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that part of what you just said answers also the next question from Abhilash, which is, what actually makes someone go from this is interesting to I need to work with this person? And again, like, it comes down to building trust, position yourself, and also it's about understanding the buyer psychology, right? You cannot force anyone to buy, just like Shaka was saying. People don't want to be sold. If they don't have the pain, they're not going to buy. And if they buy, they're going to be terrible clients, because they're not going to do what they need to do and whatever. Like, it's not a good place to be. So you need to understand, like, people buy emotionally. So you need to basically talk about the dream that they want to achieve, right? The dream outcome that they want to get to. And then what I like to do is breaking down the process on how you can bring them there. And that's the rational buying part of the buyer's journey, right? People buy also rationally. And so if you break down your process, how you work, and why this will work, then people be like, oh, this is exactly where I want to get, but how do I get there? Like, how can I trust you that you're gonna bring me there? Then you break down the process and then be like, okay, this makes sense. Then maybe they're gonna reach out, or maybe they're gonna engage, and you can reach out with like a warm conversation. So I think that this is the process that you basically need to go through. And it's, of course, not as straightforward as I make it sound. The buyer's journey, especially lately, as Shaka was saying, there's no trust. Like, there's a season of distrust, I would say, right now, because there's so many service providers. Everyone claims crazy results and so on. So there's distrust, and the buyer's journey has become like a crazy doodle of movements and pieces of information scattered around. But you need to create that emotional engagement, trust, and a rational aspect to it as well.
And it's also important to have in mind that we humans are different. So there are like different types of humans. And there are, for example, humans who want to see more structure. There are humans who want to have more social proofs. That's also where recommendations come to the play. So it's also important to have recommendations on your LinkedIn profile or in under your services. So that's everything. Like, not everyone is the same, but in generally, yes, we buy emotionally. So yeah, I totally agree with what you said, Giorgio.
That's it. I think, do you want to take a last question in the next 3 minutes, or
yeah, we can take a question. Yeah.
There's the last one. Abhilash, I've been struggling to identify my ICP. Is it something you define up front, or something you discover through creating and engaging? Two-folded. You can decide who you want to work with, but also I think it comes down to understanding how you can be relatable to them and why you want to work with them and why they should trust you, right? It's so easy to say, oh, I want to work with Forbes 500, like whatever founders, but then you need to ask yourself, like, why would they resonate with your content, with who you are, right? And so I think it's a mix. The reason why I loved working with coaches is because I was gonna be a coach, and then I turned into a LinkedIn coach, and I do like what they do, like, the purpose that they have. In general, purpose-led solopreneurs and entrepreneurs are my ICP because I really click with their mentality, right? So that's why I chose them. So that is my take on it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's also important to ask yourself who you can deliver value, who you can help best. This is also important. And it goes back to your strengths, to your abilities, to your skills, to your offer. And that's actually, who can benefit the best from your offer, and who you would like to work with. It's also important in my case that these are executives, also teams, because I do also workshops, and then coachings, again, executives, but also entrepreneurs, because I also like working with like-minded people who has the same mindset or are willing to work on it. And again, we attract what we radiate. And I also like working with people who want to achieve something, who have why, purpose, because I was there, I wasn't living with purpose. So that's why I really want to work with people who has this purpose, and also who has vision, because when you work with people who have vision and want to reach this, there's another, the outcomes will be different. So this also, everything you have to think about, what actually, how to define your ideal client persona.
Yeah. And I think ultimately that is going to help you also understand them better while you do the research to understand their psychology.
Yeah,
so,
I wanted to say that to talk to them. That's so important. Then you get to know them better, and then you can break it down in your posts and so on.
Yeah, perfect. Sharka, I think we're at the end of our conversation. I really enjoyed this. I loved having your smile always there. It's one of the characteristics, and it's beautiful. So thank you everyone also for tuning in and listening to us. I hope you got a ton of value. Sharka, a last message for our audience.
So thank you, Giorgio, as well. Thank you all you who stayed with us and who tuned in. And my message is be bold, believe in yourself, and start building community network, because it's priceless. And every step you are doing towards it, and also towards showing yourself and your values to help others, build something bigger in future and build an impact that you can't imagine today. And that's the power of LinkedIn.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sharka. Guys, have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye-bye. See you on LinkedIn.